prime creator, source of all that is. When we go there, which is here, we are in no time, and it is here where love and truth reside. There's really little more important to know than that. This simple now moment where we are breathed and breathing, aware of our existence. When there is no thought other than that awareness, there is peace and love. May this moment of truth, of our beingness, carry you through this day, feeling the love and aliveness of source energy. And so it is.
Thank you, Charlie.
My pleasure.
My name's Ron Vroman. I'm the old white man talking head for the Oregon Statewide Jural Assembly. I'd like to remind you that I know nothing. I know less than the old man who knew nothing, and he's dead. Rest in peace, Arnie. But I want to read about a third of a page, quarter of a page, and get it out. It's serendipity. It really is. I was trying to get this together, and bingo. This is A, Z, or 1 formula that nullifies FEMA, which is to return each state, commonwealth, and territory to an Article 4, Section 4, a constitutional Republican form of government this year, 2023. We flipped Oregon from de facto to de jure in November 2022, 4.5, damn near 5 years. Okay. Oregon, our United States of Washington District of Columbia, Inc. subdivision on Salem in some form since March 1861, the military coup. It is nullified by ex parte Milligan. When there is a civilian court on the land, there cannot be martial law, Lieber Code, or FEMA. This has all been acquiesced to and defaulted to for years. It's true. This is not difficult. We at www.orsja.org did it. The Oregon Statewide Jural Assembly, the provisional government on Oregon. This is what you have to do. You have to assume the responsibility of a jural assembly, 6 people, 15 hours, $60 for postage, $40 for a seal. Wait 30 days, and while you're waiting, you recruit a jury pool. When we had 45 in our jury pool, Tanya called the first grand jury, and it worked. All your docs become lawful and legal without rebuttal, or you deal with the rebuttal. We haven't had one. Ready for it? Now, all of you have created a provisional government, and they, in quotes, the de facto, have all acquiesced and defaulted. Then, for example, all of your former sheriffs, like we have, they must take a proper oath to a proper constitution with God included or be replaced. They have no oath, they have no honor, they cannot hold a position of trust. Bingo. There must also be representatives to our Congress assembled in Philly this year, 2023. You have to have your bona fides in order and get representatives to a Congress assembled for the United States of America. Now go read about the Electoral College in the Constitution, because when you send your representatives to the to Congress assembled, you'll be sending members to the Electoral College. Read it. We'll be the ones that make the next president. It's just clear. And I yield. Hello, my name's Ron Vroman. I'm the old white man talking head for the Oregon Statewide Jural Assembly. I have a short one that I'd like to read to you folks. Make sure I don't make any mistakes. The title is The United States of Washington District of Columbia is being operated by an industrial, military, executive, legislative, judicial, administrative, banker, Federal Reserve note, bar, Nazi, Jesuit, Khazarian, Muslim, Communist, United Nations, Big Pharma, Medical, de facto color of law, RICO society that should not be. So we took them out on Oregon, November 2022. Now I'd like to read some supporting evidence for the claims I just made. When Dwight David Eisenhower, a five-star general from the United States Army and the 34th President of the United States, declared, "Beware of the industrial military complex," when leaving office to JFK, who was later assassinated by those entities, which allegedly include the CIA and the Federal Reserve. Now the current high-tech billionaires have weighed in. This takes care of the first two with the predominance of evidence, and there is no prosecutors. The executive, legislative, and judiciary, incontrovertible evidence in one thing only, and there's a ton: Obamacare. 44 signed it and was recorded saying that it was unconstitutional. And it was passed by the legislature and held up by the judiciary. Many others, such as multiple Second Amendment violations by all three. Bush 43's election and Biden's election. So that takes care of executive, legislative, and judiciary. In addition, the judiciary was determined to be administrative and not constitutionally judicial. No charge or prosecution. Banker. The Federal Reserve banking system is a de facto and a result of criminal activity of the United States of Washington District of Columbia, Inc. The bar, or the British Accreditation Registry, or similar name, the State Bar, a de facto, quasi-pseudo, unconstitutional dispenser of unfettered advice of counsel, not, with the 12 presumptions of law, at www.orsja.org. We did a show on the 12 presumptions in law. It's worth the watch. Nazi. See Operation Paperclip, where thousands of former World War II Nazis were imported and given high places, such as Werner von Braun in the NASA program. Notice, all the second and third generation names of German descent currently in the US DOJ, the FBI, and the CIA from Paperclip. Jesuit is prominent among those accused but never prosecuted. There is a preponderance of evidence available. You can look it up. Khazarian, aka the Yiddish speaking people of the Torah currently in Ukraine, said to have been a blanket conversion to Judaism of about 20 million persons that believe and publish for all to see that Goy, that's me and you, are as slaves for their exploitation. That's Khazarian. Any Muslim on our land or elected, see the McCarran-Walters Act. 44, you know who 44 was, brought in Muslims by the plane load. Congress accepts them. The judiciary does not repudiate. They advocate the overthrow of our constitutional Republican form of government. See Article 4, Section 4, and the Marine Corps' hymn. Communism is a direct threat, the same as Islam. McCarran-Walters Act, 1952. The United Nations Agenda 21 and 2030. Participated and approved by the executive, legislative, and judicial, and the state and county incorporated governance entities. You can look it up. Big Pharma, another industrial enemy manufacturing COVID-19 vaccines with the explicit approval of Donald John Trump and the executive, military, legislative, and judiciary and the state governance entities. They're killing us. Medical, the hospitals, doctors, CDC, WHO, state medical boards all back the bogus vax and are aided and abetted by all those listed above. They're killing us. We must remedy this ourselves. No one can do it for us, and we cannot do it alone. And I yield. Hello, my name's Ron Vroman. I'm the old white man talking head for the Oregon Statewide Jural Assembly. By now you realize they are killing and incarcerating us. They sacrificed over 3,000 on 9/11. And the list is long and it goes on, and it includes Vegas and Maui. People are assembling in every state. Many are do-gooders, agent provocateurs, controlled opposition, charlatans, and the like. We need jural assemblies with one goal: returning to a constitutional Republican form of government this year, 2023. We flipped Oregon from de facto to de jure November 2022. It took us 4.5 years at one step at a time to go from 6 founders to several hundred on Oregon. There may be other ways. However, this works and it can be done in 30 days. Everyone that reads this or listens to this knows 50% more than what you need to know. It's time to take action. Keep it in your state as the feds look for people that cross-pollinate into other states. We're doing Oregon. Charlie prepared a packet to get you started in each state, Commonwealth, and territory. They're all different. Remember, we are dealing with over 160 years of organized crime, and they do not want to let this go. Every state from Kansas on is color of law. The perpetual union was broken a second time, December 24th, 1860, when South Carolina seceded from the Union, and they were totally within their right to do so. We lost original jurisdiction and got color of law, and then martial law and Lieber Code, March 1861. Then Donald John Trump added FEMA. Ex parte Milligan removes these issues. I lost my place. Each of the 33 states were flipped after 1906. Oregon was flipped into de facto November 8th, 1910. If you're just a reader or a listener or one that needs a seminar or to buy a membership and be part of a large group where somebody else takes care of the load and you pay dues or follow along, this is not for you. Come later when it's time to climb on the bandwagon and ride. You can find us at www.orsja.org. I'm at ronvroman38@gmail.com and 503-641-8375. And I yield. Thank you, guys.
See you soon.
Ex parte Milligan, 71 U.S. 4 Wall 2, 1866, was a landmark decision of the U.S. Supreme Court that ruled the application of military tribunals to citizens when civilian courts are still operating as unconstitutional. In this particular case, the court was unwilling to give President Abraham Lincoln's administration the power of military commission jurisdiction, part of the administration's controversial plan to deal with Union dissenters during the American Civil War. Justice David Davis, who delivered the majority opinion, stated that martial rule can never exist when the courts are open and confined martial law to areas of military operations where war really prevails, and when it was a necessity to provide a substitute for a civil authority that had been overthrown. Chief Justice Salmon P. Chase and 3 associate justices filed a separate opinion concurring with the majority in the judgment, but asserted that Congress had the power to authorize a military commission, although it had not done so in Milligan's case. The landmark case stemmed from a trial by a military commission of Lambden P. Milligan, for whom the case is named, Stephen Horsey, William A. Bowles, and Andrew Humphreys, that convened at Indianapolis on October 21st, 1864. The charges against the men included, among others, conspiracy against the U.S. government, offering aid and comfort to the Confederates, and inciting rebellion. On December 10, 1864, Milligan, Bowles, and Horsey were found guilty on all charges and sentenced to hang. Humphreys was found guilty and sentenced to hard labor for the remainder of the war. The sentence for Humphreys was later modified allowing his release. President Andrew Johnson commuted the sentences for Milligan, Bowles, and Horsey to life imprisonment. On May 10, 1865, Milligan's legal counsel filed a petition in the Circuit Court of the United States for the District of Indiana at Indianapolis for a writ of habeas corpus, which called for a justification of Milligan's arrest. A similar petition was filed on behalf of Bowles and Horsey. The two judges who reviewed Milligan's petition disagreed about the issue of whether the U.S. Constitution prohibited civilians from being tried by a military commission and passed the case to the U.S. Supreme Court. The case was argued before the court on March 5th and March 13th, 1866. Its decision was handed down on April 3rd, 1866. Prepared by Francis Lieber, promulgated as General Orders Number 100 by President Lincoln, 24th of April, 1863. Instructions for the Government of Armies of the United States in the Field, prepared by Francis Lieber, LL.D., originally issued as General Orders Number 100, Adjutant General's Office, 1863, Washington, 1898, Government Printing Office. Article 1, Section 1 of Oregon's Constitution, Natural Rights Inherent in People. We declare that all men, when they form a social compact, are equal in right, that all power is inherent in the people, and all free governments are founded on their authority and instituted for their peace, safety, and happiness, and they have at all times a right to alter, reform, or abolish the government in such manner as they may think proper. This is taken from oregonlaws.org. conspirators, all persons employed by or associated with police, sheriffs, marshals, and others of that ilk on Oregon, operating in the de facto incorporated governance of Article 7 amended, either self-correct to the de jure Article 7 original, or be tried in our de jure civilian court of record with a true bill from our grand jury. Does everyone understand?
Yes.
Returning to a de jure government after more than 100 years of deceit due to Article 7 amended is difficult, and we put forward our best effort. Article 1, Section 1, Natural Rights Inherent in People. We declare that all men, when they form a social compact, are equal in right, that all power is inherent in the people, and all free governments are founded on their authority, and instituted for their peace, safety, and happiness, and they have at all times a right to alter, reform, or abolish the government in such manner as they may think proper. That's from the Oregon Constitution.
They do not want to let go of this. They do not intend on losing here. And we do not intend giving it back to them.
And then the bullets started flying. Then he jumps out of the car. And he's got both his hands up.
And he got out of the car, and he had his hands in the air. He's like, just shoot me then. This is what you want, to shoot me. And they did. They shot him dead. With his hands in the air, and I saw it. I swear to God. He was just walking with his hands in the air. And they shot him. And they shot him dead, and then after he was down on the ground, they shot him 3 more times.